Thank you for joining Wars of the Rosies. And this is Six Principal Causes of Crime by Frater Alden S. Young. An article from Rosicrucian Digest, Volume 16, Number 10, November 1938. Six Principal Causes of Crime by Frater Alden S. Young. Numerous commissions have investigated conditions in our penal institutions. Without exception, their findings have disclosed that crime committed by the middle-aged or elderly is infrequently, whereas the majority of offenders are youthful. From this established fact, it is evident that, to study the causes of wrongdoing, any successful research must be directed towards discovering those causes of modern-day crime which start youth on that path, or which contribute to it. Lombroso was the first to write upon the subject of criminology. He noticed a similarity in the appearance of all culprits. This, he concluded, was the result of inborn characteristics, and thus he was led to believe that heredity was responsible for all crime. Were he correct in his assumption, man would then be only the helpless victim of birth and could never be wholly accountable for his actions. Their sources would lie in a remote and uncontrollable past. But subsequent writers and students of that philosophy have completely disproved his contentions. Likewise, in any discussion, a distinction must be made between the true criminal and the accidental one. Many have been convicted of felonies without being actually criminally inclined. They were precipitated into them by angry or tempestuous emotion in circumstances beyond the ordinary. Had they not been stirred by unique occurrences, they would have probably always remained law-abiding citizens. Such malfeasors lack the distinguishing mental basis common to habitual crooks. Moreover, our legislators have been busy making punishable certain commissions and omissions which are not inherently wrong, and so it is necessary to define terms. By crime, for the purposes of this article, is meant all violations of written law, and by criminals all who infringe upon it. These sources of crime also fall into only two general classifications, heredity and environment, and it must be further remembered that it is exceedingly difficult to distinguish between causes, since they so frequently merge and overlap. 1. Poverty and want. The greatest reason for delinquency, both juvenile and adult, is poverty or want, and the attendant evils. Our crowded, unhealthful tenement districts present a sorry picture. Youth in such environment finds neither beauty nor ennobling influence. It would require strength indeed to rise above such squalor. The injustices and grave inequalities of our social system are here brought to their focal point. Children, through no fault of their own, are handicapped in their opportunities and feel the sting of deprivation. All this cannot but give rise to resentment towards the existing order, and that sentiment is a broad field for budding criminality. For the crook is only the antisocial man, one poorly adjusted to his surroundings and obligations. 2. Associations. Imitation is one of youth's methods of acquiring knowledge, and it is therefore one of its outstanding inclinations to mimic. In congested slums, children are surrounded by gangsters and thugs, already embittered by adverse conditions. The gunman seems to the youth only a hero, pitted against a common enemy. It is inevitable that children would seek to emulate him. Furthermore, there flourish both vice and political corruption. How could the latter engender respect for law and order? 3. Home influence. An additional influence is found in the passing, generally, of the old-fashioned home. It was formerly a gathering place for the children and their friends. Its going has been accomplished by the exigencies of modern unrest and promiscuous divorce. So frequently the latter step is taken without any regard for its effect upon the children. Youth needs parental supervision and discipline. Likewise, the love and understanding of both father and mother. Deprived of that sympathy, home becomes no longer a place of enjoyment, with no counsel in the choice of associates, or as to where they may gather. Poorly selected companions influence the child into ways of error. 4. Illiteracy and ignorance. Second only to poverty and necessity as a cause of crime are illiteracy and ignorance. La Bruyère, French philosopher, has said, "If poverty is the mother of crimes, one of sense is the father of them." Another has declared, "With every school we erect, we tear down a prison." There is no doubt of the literal truth of these statements. Without education and directional training in this now highly specialized world, a youth becomes only a misfit. And in this classification, while if not an actual, man is at least a potential criminal. Were man wise enough, he would do no wrong. 5. Idleness. Idleness too contributes its major share to crime. Busy hands find small time for mischief and pranks. It is necessary for children to play and seek amusement, and this desire must be given proper guidance and scope. The energy of youth is unbounded, and nature has furnished an escape valve for its excess in play and fun. Unless this is furnished, the effect is similar to that of an engine which is retarded and balanced by pulling a load, but which, if suddenly released from its work, runs wild and destroys itself. This energy will find escape, be it in good or in evil. A study of our prisons reveals that most of its inmates are those without regular trade or employment. 6. Mental training. Improper mental training does great damage to childhood. Too much stress cannot be placed upon good literature. Poor reading warps the mind. Today our newsstands are filled with trashy magazines, many of them under the guise of teaching the lessons of life, print lewd stories catering to the morbid. They present the abnormal as the normal, the sordid as the natural, and, therefore, the allegedly good. News stories of crime should not be placed indiscriminately before the young reader. Fortunately, the era of dramatizing notorious gangsters in the press has passed. May it never return. The influence of motion pictures cannot be overestimated. It is well known that knowledge acquired visually makes the deepest impression. Gangster pictures, which portray any villain in the role of hero, should be prohibited. Western stories, too, which immortalize desperados of a past decade in such a manner as to imply approbation, should not be allowed. Heredity as a cause of crime has not been separately discussed. Research has indicated that it is not responsible for more than 10% of the offenders. However, between the moron and the normal person are many degrees of intelligence, and it is a fact, verified by all who deal with them, that criminals possess weak and limited minds. Because of this, we would be led to suspect that heredity does play a greater part in producing criminals than investigators allow. It cannot but influence the race when a far greater number of children are born to those least able to support and provide for them. When the birth rate among the illiterate, poverty-stricken, and weak exceeds that of our middle, intelligent class, results cannot be beneficial. Both alcoholism and drugs lead many to the path of wrong. Moreover, there are those who, seeking to create a market for drugs, deliberately entice youth to acquire that habit. It seems impossible to conceive of anyone deliberately blasting and destroying a young life in such a manner. Yet we know we have seen such creatures on this earth. There is much to be done before we can begin to eradicate the causes which start youth upon the path of crime. Would that a greater part of the vast sums spent upon enforcing the law and punishing the criminal might be diverted to some means by which those things that turn youth to crime could be eliminated. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment. And if you can, please consider donating to Wars of the Rosies. Links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.